Welcome back to episode 2 of Before the Walk with the Malloy twins, where we speak to fighters, footballers, pro athletes, and people from all walks of life who are daring to make that walk towards greatness. And today, we're joined by one of the hottest prospects on the UK MMA scene. He is Cage Warriors fighter, the unofficial King of France, we'll call him, Adam Cullen. Adam, mate, thanks so much for your time and for joining me today, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be on the podcast.
Yes, me man, it's great to have you. And I wanted to know first and foremost, you're preparing, getting ready to step back into the octagon and make that walk again on the 25th of July on Cage Warriors 175 Manchester. I'm always curious, this close to the fight now, coming in about a week out, what does training, nutrition, preparation at this point of the fight look like now that a lot of the work is done in this case of making sure you're good to go for fight night?
It's just more maintaining now, especially training wise. Like the training schedule is chopped down, and it's more just tweaking, drilling, a little bit of maintenance stuff. I mean, all the hard work is done. We're like 9 days out now. You're not going to get any fitter, any faster, any stronger, any better fighting in 9 days time, are you? And then in terms of the weight, like we're just still just trying to inch it down a little bit, coming towards that like final weight cut that people have probably seen in the past. The water cuts and all that process. So right now is like the sort of like limbo mode where like you want to go hard, but like because you're excited to fight, you know what I mean. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you've got to pull back because you're saving yourself for next week when the work's getting done. So yeah, it's always a bit of a weird zone this far out where like you used to being balls to the wall for 6 to 8 weeks in training camp, and now all of a sudden you're slowing down. So it's always a
Yeah.
strange one.
No, I get it, man. And me and Lee were actually out in Next Gen just over a couple of weeks ago or so. And we had the pleasure, the opportunity to watch a bit of training with you guys. And we could see there the intensity you were bringing. Obviously, there was some hard sparring going on. You actually stay back afterwards, hitting pads, doing all the rest. What has this camp been like overall? How long have you been in camp for now? And what's been the overall feeling you have coming towards the end of it?
It's been a bit of a strange one to be honest because I've not really left camp since my last fight. Obviously I had a decent performance, but it didn't go my way when I thought it should have done.
Mm.
So for someone like me, it's hard to switch off, and like I couldn't just go out and just go about my normal life and go drinking like people do, or go eating and getting out of shape. So I've pretty much not left camp for like what we're going on like 14 weeks now. So it's been a long one, but I've enjoyed the process. Um, I really do enjoy training, enjoy leveling up, and I feel like that's been like the main focus in this camp. Just like really leveling up that MMA game all around, and like leveling up like my composure and me experience. Now I've got so much more cage time. So it's been a very tactical camp, but it's been a long one, and I'm ready to fight now. I'm so ready.
Yeah, you mentioned there earlier last time out how it was a good performance, but things didn't go your way. It was a controversial, what we say, split decision loss that unfortunately you were on the wrong side of. And you mentioned on some other podcasts and interviews you've done leading into this fight that you feel like you want to get back out there, right some wrongs, show a different side to your game, that sort of thing. What did you take away from that last performance and that last result overall that you're carrying forward into this one?
It was just sort of like a maturity. I think in that last fight I expected to like slow the fight down and use my experience, but like other factors, I ended up basically getting tired because I've cut so much weight, and I think I had the mindset of like more weight cut, bigger, better performance,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
found out the hard way that that's just not the case. So it sort of ends up being my weight cutting skills against this kid's fight skills, and it was a grueler of a fight. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it was a tough fight regardless of a tough weight cut. But I feel like I just matured and proved to myself that like I can go hard in fights. I can dig deep when I need to. Like going into that last round, it was all to play for, and I was stood in the corner. I remember feeling absolutely fucked. Where like I never feel like this in training. I never feel this tired, but it was clear the weight cut had done some damage to me. So even that, knowing that I could dig deep, and I personally feel like I won that last round, and knowing I can pull them performances out in the heat of the moment, that's just like all experience you can take forward. And obviously before then, I'd barely been out of the first round, so I know that like later on in my career, I'm going to pull from that and pull and use that experience in later, more difficult fights I have. But it is what it is in terms of the result. You can't complain. That's how it goes. That's the game, unfortunately. But I'll just use that to propel me further on. And like I know now, this is me. I'm doing everything right. There's literally no stone unturned. I'm going all the way to the top now.
No doubt, man. No doubt. One thing I was curious to know for you, because you fight at lightweight, which is obviously 155 pounds. We were in the gym with you a couple of weeks ago. You're a big lad, like quite lean, taller than me and Lee, although there's not many people who aren't taller than me and Lee, to be fair. We're midgets. But for that sense, what would you typically walk around at our camp or our fight mode, and how much weight are you cutting to make 155?
It's hard to say because I've always been big. I've always stayed in shape. But like I've been as high as 90, 91 kilo. Like I can be in shape and 85 kilo easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. And we're talking like coming into fights to fight at 70, being in shape and training and 85 kilo. It's massive,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Gonna
So
start cutting limbs.
that's what I mean. The weight needs to come down far out. But like because I hold a lot of muscle and I get lean easy, the water cut's always been easy for me. Like talking 8-9 kilos, been no problem. But
Right.
taking off one thing, putting it back on another, and the the problem is where like a lot of guys find out about the weight cuts early in the pro career because I finished my first 7-8 pro fights all in the first round. I never found out that cutting 9 kilo wasn't the right thing to do because I never got outside of the first 4 minutes.
Yes, yeah. I get you, man. Your record was crazy. I was looking back on it, and it was like your first 6 fights for Cage Warriors, at least, was 6 fights, 6 wins, all finished in the first round. So it's like in
Yeah,
your first
mad in it.
six fights together, just like less than what's that, half an hour worth of fighting all in. It's
It's
crazy.
mad, yeah. It's mad. You feel like you're inexperienced and people are like, oh, you could be going to the UFC soon and all that. And you're like, fucking hell. I feel like I've only just started fighting just because you
Yeah,
belong to these
yeah,
people. But it is what it is. Only problem is with that, it's hard to get matched. Can never get matched up. You'd end up having training camps with like 6, 7 different opponents because people would just turn you down all the time. So,
yeah, yeah. I get you. Yeah, no one wants to step in the ring and experience
no,
be on the receiving end of the first round knockout.
no,
And
that's
you mentioned
embarrassing,
there,
isn't it?
obviously, training in the gym in next gen, obviously the crop of fighters who are in there, the environment that they've created, unbelievable. And I was kind of putting myself in your shoes a little bit. I was like, right, if I was Adam, and obviously your ambitions and goals, as with I think most MMA fighters, is to make it to the UFC, and you've obviously got a star of the lightweight division in Paddy Pimbley, who trains within next gen. And I was putting myself, like, if I was in Adam's shoes, like, how would I don't know, would I be using Paddy as a measuring stick? Is it like whenever there's a spar session going on, if I can jump in and kind of, test myself against there to see what's the level he's at, where am I at, and where do I rank? And I was just curious to ask, like, is that something that you do? And if so, do you feel like, yeah, I'm at that level, that UFC level, let's say, to be able to go and step into those organizations now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, isn't it? Like, he is like you said, the measuring stick. The guy's about to fight Bobby Green. When he beats Bobby Green, he's going to be top 15 in the UFC.
Yeah.
If you're top 15 in the UFC, you're top 15 in the world, aren't you? And I mean, I've been sparring with Paddy since I was like 17. And you watch some of these fights in the UFC where he blows through these top guys. I mean, that last fight with Tony Ferguson, he absolutely
Yeah.
schooled him. So it's hard not to. Like, I've watched Tony Ferguson for years, and it's always been, oh, I wonder how I'll get on with him. And then when you've got Paddy there who's doing that to him, and then you have a sparring session, you think, oh, hang on. So it's good. It's good and bad. Obviously, you don't want to compare yourself to your mates, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I see that every day, and I just know I am UFC level. I am world level. The only difference between me and Paddy is he's got far more fights than me and far more experience, and that's fine because I know that'll come. And as long as I keep the faith, keep the belief, and keep working hard, I know I can make it to them levels. And he's the proven. I mean, obviously, we get about, we spar other people and all that all the time. the rounds I've done with guys that are well recognised in the sport or meant to be an up and coming prospect and all that, that all just adds confidence to you as well as your own fights. So it's good. It's good having people like Paddy constantly as a reminder of work hard and this is where you can get to, because these are the skills you've got. This is he's showing you the path, showing you the
Yeah,
route,
yeah,
and it's not alien, is it? It's not like looking out and someone on the other side of the world and thinking, oh, well, he's the UFC champion, but how do I get there? It's a direct route within my gym, within my own team.
yes, yeah. No, the man, it makes such a difference. And I was curious listening to you speak, and I think this interview goes back to maybe 2020, so a few years ago at this stage. But you were speaking back then about how the goal was to make it to the UFC, and you'd said at that stage that you see yourself, I think it was within the next couple of years, so it would have been maybe 2022, 2023, you would have loved to make it into the organization. Now, obviously, between that, there's been so much that has happened, like coronavirus, the COVID pandemic, how that all interfered with pro fighting as a whole and as an industry sort of. And then within the last couple of years, I know you've had like an amazing streak going 6-0. Obviously suffered a couple of setbacks with the first loss, coming back, getting a win, and then losing last time out. For your angle now, where it stands, is the goal still the UFC? And do you have a rough idea, timeline wise, in your mind, what the path to the UFC looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. The goal is still definitely the UFC. I mean, I'm coming up to my 10th professional fight and I'm 26. Look at all the top champions within the UFC. They're all 31, 32, 33.
Yeah.
So I've got time. And also, if you look at them guys, they've all got far more than 10 professional fights.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's always a rush. It's hard because you look at these other sports like football and rugby and all that, and the guys that are like peaking at 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to look at that and be like, well, I'm a professional athlete. Why am I not? Mixed martial arts is such a different sport. Like, it relies so heavily on experience and cage time, and you only get that through years. So
Yeah.
yeah, I still know I'm going to be in the UFC. That's without a shadow of a doubt. I wake up every day and my aim is to be the UFC champion. I fully, with all my heart, believe I can do it. It's just time. It's just experience. I mean, yeah, I've had them setbacks that you never think you're going to have, but then at the same time, difference between people who make it and people who do make it is how they react to setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all my setbacks have made me better. I know exactly why I lost them fights. I know exactly what I could have done to win them fights, and I've taken that and I've ran with it. And looking at me now, to me when I was 6-0, I am 10 times better at fighting than I was then, and I'm far more experienced. I'm far more composed, and I'm more ready for the UFC. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just look at them setbacks and think, okay, that should put me back a year or whatever. I'm just going to be that more ready for the UFC when it
Yeah.
comes. And the ideal scenario is you get to the UFC and you blow through everyone, go on an 8 fight win streak, and then fight for the title. And I've never been more ready to do that than I am now. Like I say, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. I mean, time scale wise, you want to get there as soon as possible. Everyone does, but it's a fight game. Shit happens. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy. I'm doing everything I love doing every day. I love fighting. I'm getting regular fights on Cage Warriors, and I'm just staying in my lane, competing, getting better. And I know for a fact all them things are going to come because I fully believe that I'll work so hard that I'll be rewarded with all that eventually.
Man, I absolutely love that mindset and that mentality. There's a famous Irish MMA coach, John Kavanagh. You might have heard of him. He Conor McGregor's coach, and he speaks about it in terms of that win or learn mindset of look, we either win or we take a lesson from it and we move forward and we're stronger as a result of going through it. And seeing that playing out for you, like you're dead right. The Euros have just finished, and it's like you're looking at Lamine Yamal off Spain, who's like 17 or something. He's just won the Euros. You're like, Jesus,
Yeah,
he's 17 and he's already at like the highest level, but it's a different sport. Like the skills that it takes to become UFC level UFC champ, and not even just the physical skills, but even the maturity and, like you said, the like ring, the fight IQ, knowing all this sort of stuff. That only comes with reps and experience, and you can't fast track that. And if you tried to fast track it, you'd end up just getting found out when you did make it to the big stages. So the fact you're able to
absolutely.
take all that now and bring it forward is like when the time comes when you do step into the UFC, it's like that's your platform then to go and show everyone what you were missing.
Absolutely. But the thing is, with fighting as well, it's not a team sport. With team sports, these guys can be eased in and given 10 minutes of match time, or a little away game that doesn't mean so much, or whatever. Plus, they can rely on people in the team with more experience. With fighting, it's just you. You're in there. You're in the deep end. And the thing is, with fighting, at the end of the day, I am using my body to try and destroy your body. That's how you win a fight. If you're 17 and you're fighting a 30-year-old man in this prime,
Yeah.
that's only going to like hinder you, isn't it, going forward? That's the reason why you don't see many super young guys in the UFC. It's just a different sport completely.
Yeah, no, it's such a great point, man. It's such a great point. And gearing up now, moving into your next opportunity to get back in that octagon and show people what you can do. I'm always curious to know for fighters and for you specifically, do you have any pre-fight routines? Say you wake up the morning, it's Thursday the 25th, you know that night you're going to be fighting. Is there anything you like to do specifically to get ready mentally or physically for that?
And not particularly. I used to have. I go through phases. I had a phase where every fight morning I'd watch Gladiator. I don't know why. I
Nice.
just
I
used to
like
love.
that. We need to bring it back. Yeah.
Well, I just used to love watching Gladiator and Russell Crowe being in there and just having it with everyone. I just wake up and just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna rip someone's arms off today." But nah, I mean, probably early on I had more routines and rituals and like superstitions. But when you've been in there so many times now, it just seems like another day. Like I've sort of learned that, like, whether I'm nervous or not, at 9 o'clock that day I'm fighting. Whether I'm hyped up or not, at 9 o'clock I'm going to be. No matter what happens, anything can happen. At 9 o'clock I am fighting. So it's sort of like, doesn't matter too much what you do and what you don't do. We used to get hung up a bit, like, I can't do this, I can't do that, and I can't. Do you know what I mean? I can't go for a coffee in the morning with my mates, or I can't, see anyone.
Yeah.
But no matter what you do, at 9 o'clock you're gonna be fighting. So you might as well just relax and enjoy yourself. And I think that's what I think you just learn out of experience. I've said that same thing to younger lads in the gym, and that, like, whether you being nervous and being scared and all that, it's good because it shows you care. But if you are or you aren't, either way, you're gonna fight. So don't worry about it too much. So I don't really have too many superstitions now. I just wake up and just do my thing. Maybe a little bit of jazz music, something like that, something chilled. Have my breakfast, chill with mum and dad, chill with some of me mates, and then make my way to the arena. That's really it for me.
Keep it simple. Go out,
Yeah,
get the W.
always simple.
Smash it, man. Just the last couple of questions, then I'll let you go. First one, I'm always curious to know this for fighters, especially big lads like you who have to cut a decent bit of weight to make it down to the scales. Once all is said and done, you've won the fight and you can go and rehydrate, get all the carbs you've been missing, everything else. What's your go-to meal?
Do you know what? I've never really been a big go-to meal sort of guy. I'm very into, like, eating healthy all year round, but I think that's come from being so big for the weight.
The
I've
fluctuations, yeah,
suffered. I've suffered. I used to do, like, one of me one was Chinese food. I proper loved Chinese food, but I
Mm-hmm.
loved it too much, so I was getting fat. So I mean, like,
Didn't love
I'm
you
not
back.
really. I'm at this. That's the thing, at this stage now. I'm not really craving anything anymore. I'm just, like, so ready to fight. But, like, if it was having to be a go-to, it would have to be like a Chinese meal, like like salt and pepper chicken, stuff like that, and like duck spring rolls, all that good stuff. Like, you can't beat it, can you? But, like, at the same time, right now, I don't even want that. Like, it makes me feel a little bit sick thinking about it, just
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how bad you feel after that.
Yeah,
It always looks better than it tastes, doesn't it? You're looking at it when it's in your
yeah.
bag and you're ready to take it home
Oh,
and have it. You're like, oh, come on. And then the minute you have it, you're like, oh, fucking hell, I feel like I've just been body
yeah,
shotted
yeah,
by
yeah.
fucking Ngannou.
Fact. So well said. I like it. Second question. You mentioned Paddy getting to fight Tony Ferguson earlier, and even when Paddy was going through that, he was very open and saying, like, I used to watch Tony on television, used to, like, idolize him. For you, if we just had like a blank slate, have your pick, who would be your dream fight that you could go up against?
Dream fight. It's hard, isn't it? Because there's so many guys that you watch back in the day. But I think it would probably have to be like a GSP. Like, imagine fighting someone like him, but at the same time, I don't know how I'd react. Like, having, like, read his book and listened to him on
Yes, yeah, yeah.
podcasts and watched him and idolised him for so long. I think he was like my phone screensaver for like 2 years. So
No
I think it
way.
would have to be like GSP, but realistically, it'd be like punching your dad or something, wouldn't it? Someone like
Yeah,
him, where you're
yeah.
like this, you idol the goat. But yeah, probably GSP or like a cowboy. Cowboy Cerrone would be a
Okay.
surreal one, wouldn't it? When you're going in there and you're like, right, we're just having it now. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's going to war. That'd be a sick one, wouldn't it? They probably be me too.
Quality. I love those answers. I love it. And last one. I'm not even going to bother asking you how do things work out on Thursday the 25th. Adam Cullen takes the win and moves on. What does the rest of 2024 look like? How more active do you want to be? Do you want to be back in there before the end of the year?
Absolutely, just as active as possible. I think I perform my best when I'm active. Um, I like just being in that mindset all the time of ready to compete and ready to win. So yeah, 2 or 3 more fights this year, maybe even four. Like whatever Cage Warriors can get me. I just know that like after running through this kid on the 25th, I'm going to be just firing and ready to go again. And I want to just keep that ball rolling and be going into 2025 in a position where I could get a call up for the UFC at any time. That's my vision for the rest of this year.
Beautiful. Well, Adam, I can't wait to see you back out there, man, on Cage Warriors 175 in Manchester, Thursday, the 25th of July, to see Adam Cullen step back in there, right or wrong from last time out, back in the win column and push forward from there. Thank you so much for your time, mate, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Thanks for having me.